Welcome back to Echo Base Network, where we hold Lucasfilm accountable and demand a return to great Star Wars. And oh yeah, we're not just a Star Wars channel, we're a we can't stand Kathleen Kennedy channel. And that's pretty evident with this video. Kathleen Kennedy is the president of Lucasfilm. She's a Hall of Shame studio head for Lucasfilm. Ladies and gentlemen, friends, I give you the top 10 worst moments for Kathleen Kennedy. I hope you guys enjoy.
Echo 3 to Echo 7. On nobody. 3-8.
Echo Station 3PA.
Spotted Imperial longtime.
10.
Kennedy tells us that this has been a major consideration for some time. And here's our quote, folks. That's come up a lot. From the moment I stepped in and George brought me into the company, there's been a lot of interest in that, she explains. Well, that's very interesting that Kathy says that. Basically, this has been on my mind, this has been on my plate since before 2012 when George first brought me in. Well, let's look at this news and see if James Mangold's comments support what Kathy just said, or is Kathy lying? So when I mentioned to Kathy, Lucasfilm president, the idea that I had about going backward, really far backward, I was surprised that it excited her and the other wonderful people she works with at Lucasfilm, he continued. If Kathy Kennedy was telling the truth about going way, way, way back and telling the origin story had been on her plate since she first came to the company over 10 years ago, then James Mangold wouldn't have been the first person to walk up and pitch that idea to her. And then she was excited about it.
9.
I remember Kathy came into the room with her steno pad and her pencil, and she was horrible at taking notes, and she was terrible at, she didn't really know how to do it very well. But what she did know how to do was interrupt somebody in mid-sentence. We'd be pitching ideas back and forth, and Kathy, who's supposed to be writing these ideas down, suddenly put her pencil down and would say something like, and what if he didn't get the girl, but instead he got the dog?
People like her shouldn't be creatives because nobody would go for that. And that's why Star Wars sucks right now. Because she thinks she's a creative, and because she's done all this work for all these great creators in the past, that she's wanting to try to create something of her own now and have it be better. And it's actually just worse.
8.
And for all the movies that we did hear about today, we do know that there are some that have been shelved.
Well, they haven't been shelved.
Oh.
Most things haven't been shelved.
Well, they haven't been shelved.
Oh.
Most things haven't been shelved.
Development is a complicated, long-term process. Mm-hmm. Some people, we're dealing with scheduling.
Yeah.
Because obviously really talented people are working.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't, it's often not a shelving. It's just, is it ready?
7.
But there was nothing ever got developed.
Right.
We never discussed an idea.
We never discussed
as everybody
anything.
knows, Kevin's a
The
huge
fandom.
Star Wars fan.
Mm-hmm.
And, if he did come up with something, I would be all ears, but that's never really happened. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not an abandoned project. It just didn't happen.
Fandom leaked it. Like, basically she was saying, like, it's not anything official. You know, the fandom, the news, the leakers leaked it. Let's go ahead and take a look at this other clip here.
Kevin Feige, diehard Star Wars fan, owner of multiple Hasbro Jabba sail barges, and president of Marvel Studios, will now be able to add Star Wars producer to his list of achievements.
That's right. With the close of the Skywalker saga, Kevin Feige is set to co-produce an upcoming Star Wars movie with Kathleen Kennedy in a new era of Star Wars storytelling.
Interesting. So, that was the official Star Wars YouTube channel. That video came directly from them.
6.
Defending the financial struggles of Solo and Rogue One, Kathleen Kennedy shrugged off the uneven quality, stating, "Every one of these movies is a particularly hard nut to crack. There's no source material. We don't have comic books. We don't have 800-page novels."
5.
The thing that I want you to look at, let's go back and look at the clip again. Look at Kathy Kennedy. When Steven Spielberg says, the creator of Indiana Jones himself, and then the third person, the glue that's been with us through all of this. Well, Kathy Kennedy has been there through all of it. She clapped for George Lucas. She clapped for Harrison Ford. And then as soon as Spielberg says the glue that's been there with us the whole time, she looks at her husband and she's like, she braces herself. She thinks it's her. She thinks it's her. And then he says, John Williams. She doesn't clap. She just stands there, taking the L right there on stage. Oh, man. Let's look at it again. I am not making this up. This is not a game. Here we go.
There are three indispensable people.
Three.
Without whom none of us would be here tonight. And that starts with the person who created Indiana Jones, George Lucas.
Yes. Kathy clapping. Yep.
The person who is Indiana Jones, Harrison
Oh,
Ford.
yeah. Oh, let's go. That's right.
And the person who is the glue to all five of these films that gave...
She just looked at her husband. He's talking about me? Me?
Is all of our rhythm and all of our melody.
Brace yourself.
The great maestro, John Williams.
No clap. She has a new name. No clap Kathy.
4,
On May 4th, 2017, the Archer School for Girls hosted its 5th annual Archer Film Festival. Kathleen Kennedy spoke about Star Wars, gender equality, and her secrets to producing success, saying, right now, women make up less than a quarter for all positions in the industry, and less than a third of all speaking roles. There are jobs that women can do. They just need to be given the chance. So, do or do not, there is no try. The force is female.
3,
Coming back all these years later, what is it like to find Luke's voice again? Not just vocally, but metaphorically. What's it like getting back into this character after all these years? Did you go back and watch the old films? Is he at such a new place that it didn't matter?
Well, in 7, you discovered Luke obviously is a hermit on this island, that there's so much unsaid about where he's been and what he's done. And actors like to write their own backstories. You know, you want to figure out what you've done and where you've been. But I realized that wasn't really important to the story of Force Awakens. I still made it up myself. And, you know, I tried to show it to JJ, and he, you know, was accommodating, but basically patted me on the head, gave me a cookie, and made me go away. Because, you know, whatever, make it up. I mean, they allude to things that have happened. And to a certain extent, you know, it's not Luke's story anymore. But I think he's an important part of the overall arc of the saga. And again, there's a lot of mystery about him, even within the film. So you have to fill in your own backstory. I'm sure there'll be comic books and video games and novels that tell the story, but like I say, and I shared with Ryan a lot of my own things. I thought I have to relate to things that are real in my own life to understand where Luke is at this point in his life.
I'm just going to break in here and make sure that everybody out there realizes he is so significantly important to this next film. You have no idea.
Well, that's good to hear.
2,
Please put your hands together. First up, the creator and executive producer, Tony Gilroy. Executive producer and president of Lucasfilm, Kathleen Kennedy. Executive producer, Cassian Andor himself, Diego Luna.
Oh, wow. You know what's crazy about that is that the shills they will say, "Oh, it was the music was louder than the clapping." No, the music started playing at the end of their announcing Gilroy, and it's continuing the whole time through. You could barely hear them clapping when Kathy Kennedy was walking on stage, and she put her hand up to wave at the crowd, and look how quickly she drops it and looks to the ground.
Executive producer Tony Gilroy.
Okay.
Executive producer and president of Lucasfilm, Kathleen Kennedy. Executive producer.
Wow. 1.
Main thing is to protect these characters, make sure that they still continue to live in the way that you created them, and that the universe of Star Wars continues to grow. Incredible thing about George is, you know, this is not like a series of books like Harry Potter where you've already got a template of what the stories might be. These are original stories and original ideas that come out of a world that essentially is in George's head. So the beauty of the collaboration that can continue is, as we work our way through these scripts, if we're sitting and saying, you know, I wonder if this character can do that, or does this make sense within the rules of Star Wars? That really, he's the keeper of the flame when it comes to that. The essence of Star Wars. You know, I have a tremendous amount to learn from George. There's things that that I want to preserve within the spirit of this company, and as it moves into Disney, I think it's vitally important to anything we create that we hold on to the spirit of what started all of this.